What if I told you that Japan is literally giving away houses? For free? No, I'm not kidding. Entire homes. Some come with land, others are nestled in the beautiful countryside. You might be wondering, why isn't everyone packing their bags and moving to Japan right now? Because of course, there's a catch. Actually, there are several. Today, we're going to break down the reality behind Japan's famous free houses, what they really cost, who can actually get one, and figure out whether this is a golden opportunity or just a trap waiting to be sprung. So, first things first, why does Japan even have free houses? The country is facing a massive problem. There are simply too many houses and not enough people to live in them. Japan's population is shrinking, and rural areas are emptying out at an alarming rate. Young people are moving to big cities like Tokyo and Osaka, or even heading abroad, leaving behind entire villages of aging residents. When these residents eventually pass away, their homes often remain completely untouched. These abandoned homes are called Akiya. Right now, Japan has over 8 million vacant houses, and that number is only going up. For local governments, these empty houses aren't assets, they're huge liabilities. They become fire hazards. They're at risk of collapsing during earthquakes. They attract illegal dumping, and most importantly, no one is paying property taxes on them. Faced with this growing crisis, many cities and villages decided, hey, it's better to give them away for free than to just let them rot. Okay, let's be very clear about what free actually means in this context. The house itself might be free, but living in it is definitely not. Here's the deal. The building itself might cost you 0 yen, but you're still on the hook for a lot of other expenses. We're talking about registration fees, annual property taxes, renovation costs, ongoing maintenance, utilities, and even local community fees. Many of these houses haven't been lived in for 10, 20, or even 30 years. So you need to picture what that means. Think no insulation, ancient plumbing, no modern heating system, earthquake safety standards from the 1970s, and sometimes there isn't even a bathroom inside the house. Yes, really. It might be in a separate outbuilding. This brings us to the biggest expense, renovation. This is where the real cost hits you. Even what's considered a cheap renovation can easily cost between 2 to 5 million yen just for the most basic repairs. If you're looking for a full modernization to make it comfortable by today's standards, you could be looking at 8 to 15 million yen, or even more. That kind of money covers things like rewiring all the electricity, putting in new water and sewage lines, reinforcing the structure to meet modern earthquake codes, and replacing old roofs and walls. Now, some local governments do offer subsidies to help with these costs, but there are strings attached. They often require you to live there full-time, sometimes for 5 or even 10 years. If you decide to leave early, you might have to pay the entire subsidy back. So that free house quickly turns into a very serious, long-term financial and personal commitment. Now, for the part that many videos on this topic conveniently skip over. Not just anyone can get one of these houses. Many of these Akiya programs have some pretty strict requirements. For example, you often need to have permanent residency, or at least a long-term visa. You'll need to provide proof that you intend to live there full-time. Some programs even ask for proof of income to show you can support yourself and afford the renovations. Families with children are often preferred, and some towns will outright reject single applicants. Foreigners can apply, but whether you get approved depends entirely on the specific local government's rules. And here's a crucial point. Owning a house in Japan does not automatically give you a visa. You must already have legal residency to even be considered for most of these programs. The catches don't stop there. There's also the community catch. Rural Japan is not an anonymous place where you can just keep to yourself. When you move into one of these villages, you become an active part of the community. That means you'll have mandatory neighborhood duties. You'll be expected to participate in local festivals, help clean shared public areas, and attend community meetings. In some places, there might even be obligations related to farming or maintaining local infrastructure. If you think you can just move in and live quietly without interacting with your neighbors, think again. In many of these small villages, gaining community acceptance is even more important than the money you spend on your house. So after hearing all of that, you might be thinking, why would anyone do this? Well, despite all the challenges, some people absolutely love it. But for them, the benefits are incredible. They get to be surrounded by nature. They have tons of space and silence, and their daily cost of living is extremely low. There's no rent to pay, and they can build strong community bonds that are hard to find in a big city. Offers a truly unique lifestyle. This kind of life is a perfect fit for certain people. Remote workers who can work from anywhere. Artists looking for inspiration. Families seeking a calm and safe environment for their kids. Retirees, and really anyone who is just tired of the chaotic city life. It absolutely can be a dream come true. But only if you know exactly what you're signing up for. So, let's circle back to the main question. Is it worth it? Is Japan really giving away free houses? Yes, technically they are. But they are not giving away easy lives. This path works best if you plan to stay in Japan long term, if you genuinely embrace the idea of rural life. If you have the funds set aside for significant renovations, and if you are willing to respect and participate in the local culture. Most importantly, you can't go into this expecting to make a quick profit from reselling the property. The value is in the lifestyle, not the investment potential. If you're just looking for a cheap vacation home or a fast flip, this is probably not for you. In the end, Japan's free houses are not a scam, but they're not a miracle either. They're a trade, a house in exchange for your commitment. You're trading your time, money, and energy for a chance at a different kind of life. If you enjoy these kinds of deep dives into life in Japan, the hidden realities, and the things no one else tells you, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching.
What would you do if Japan offered you a house for free? No, this isn't a contest or a lottery giveaway. I'm talking about an actual house with keys, land, and a deed. Today, we're not dealing with theories or what-ifs. We're diving into the real stories of foreigners who accepted Japan's free house offers and discovered what life is really like afterward. Some found a rural paradise they never want to leave. Others found a world of regret. So let's hear their stories and the valuable lessons they learned along the way. So, why are foreigners getting free houses in the first place? The short answer is that Japan's rural towns are disappearing. Across the country, schools are closing, local shops are shutting their doors, and entire villages are aging out of existence. To survive, many municipalities created what are known as Akiya programs, offering abandoned homes for free or for incredibly low prices. And foreigners have become unexpected but welcome candidates. Why foreigners? Well, they're often willing to relocate. They bring families and young children, and their presence helps revive these emptying towns. They're also willing to make the long-term commitments that these communities desperately need. But here's the catch. Free houses always come with expectations. That's where the real stories begin. Let's start with testimony number 1, the dreamer. Mark from Canada moved to a quiet corner of rural Nagano. He received a beautiful 100-year-old farmhouse for the incredible price of 0 yen. His expectations were simple: a quiet life, cheap living costs, and beautiful nature right outside his door. But reality hit hard. The house had no insulation, meaning winters dropped below freezing inside. There was no central heating, and he soon discovered mice living in the walls. It was a shock, but he stayed. Why? He taught himself carpentry, renovated the house slowly, room by room, and now pays less in yearly expenses than a single month's rent in Tokyo. His final verdict? It wasn't free, he says, but it was absolutely worth it. Next, we have testimony number 2, the shock. Anna from Germany accepted a house in Shikaku. On paper, it looked perfect. The photos were lovely, and the offer seemed too good to be true. In reality, the roof leaked every time it rained. The only toilet was outside. The road leading to the house was unpaved and muddy. And the nearest supermarket was a 40-minute drive away. She lasted 1 year before giving up. Her lesson: these houses are free because they ask for a lifestyle most people don't want. She doesn't regret the experience. She sees it as a life lesson, but she admits she would never do it again. And now for testimony number 3, the family choice. David and May, a bilingual couple, moved with their 2 young kids. Their town's offer was more than just a house. It included school support for their children, renovation subsidies to help them fix up the property, and even child allowances to ease financial burdens. Their kids became the only foreign students in the local school. Of course, there were challenges: language barriers, navigating deep-seated cultural expectations, and the constant pressure of being the new family in a tight-knit community. But the benefits were immense. Their children had a safe, wonderful childhood, surrounded by nature and forged strong social bonds. Their verdict? Japan didn't just give us a house, it gave our kids a future. Every testimony we heard agrees on one thing that no brochure ever talks about: community life. When you accept a free house, you don't just receive a building, you join a community, and that means obligations. It means mandatory neighborhood cleaning days, participating in local festivals, attending town meetings, and being constantly visible. If you disappear for too long, people will notice, and they will come knocking. Some foreigners thrive in this environment, feeling embraced and supported. Others feel constantly watched and suffocated. As one resident perfectly put it, in the city, you rent privacy. In the countryside, you earn trust. Of course, with a free house come the hidden costs, and everyone mentioned them. There's the cost of renovation, which can be massive. There are property taxes, fees for bringing the house up to modern earthquake standards, and the constant expense of transportation, since you'll need a car for everything. And then there's the cost of your own time and labor. A common mistake is underestimating just how physically demanding rural life can be. We're talking snow removal in the winter, constant garden and land maintenance, and endless house repairs. This is not a passive lifestyle. So, after hearing all this, should foreigners actually do it? Is taking a free house in Japan a good idea? From all these real-life testimonies, one clear truth emerges. This path works if you're looking for long-term stability and are ready to fully embrace rural isolation. It works if you deeply respect Japanese local culture and don't expect the convenience of the city. And critically, you must already have legal residency in Japan. These programs are not a backdoor to a visa. However, this path is almost guaranteed to fail if you're seeking freedom without responsibility. It will fail if your goal is to flip the property for a profit, or if you dislike community obligations and just want to be left alone. In the end, Japan's free houses are not a trick or a scam. They're an invitation. An invitation to trade modern comfort for a life with deeper meaning, and to swap convenience for genuine human connection. For some foreigners, it becomes the best decision they ever made. For others, it's a difficult lesson they'll never forget. What do you think? Could you make it work? Let me know in the comments. If you want more real stories about life in Japan, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.